Greetings from London. This is Maryum Sharif, and welcome to Star Mogul's podcast. It's January 2021. Oh my God, 2021. Can you imagine? We're actually here and we've done 2020. We've got rid of it and we're starting a brand new year. So today's guest, she is a speaker and author of Emotional Mastery, Dr.Navana Kunda. Hello and welcome.
Thank you, Maryum, for your kind words. I'm really excited and honored to be a part of your show, of this platform.
Well, you are starting the year and our first guest for 2021 because I believe that we need someone like you. So when it comes to, 2020 was a really emotional year, for all of us. But when we think about it, full of anxiety and fear and the unknown, and it's marked in history. 2020 will go down in history as one of those years that was an emotional change, growth, development year for all of us. But when it comes to emotions, I believe that is kind of the foundation of where everything builds. Relationships, work, family, everything starts off with the emotion. I'm an emotional person myself, and in the words of Whitney, I get so emotional, and it's one of those things that you have. I feel a lot. I've got a very kind of intuitive. I'm very intuitive. I feel a lot. And then so last year, I think we've all gone through a whole load of emotions. We've gone through fear, anxiety, excitement, dread, disease, death, the things that we dread. And it's all gone in 2020. So we're going to make 2021 a year to be remarkable and outstanding and successful. So this is why we've brought you on, because you are actually the author of Emotional Mastery. What started you off to master your emotions in the first place?
As mentioned previously, that we are not just physical beings or psychophysical beings, but we are also emotional beings. We all experience, love and hate, joy and sadness, fear and hope throughout our lives. So, emotional mastery methodology is actually a formula to help, like leaders and achievers like you and me to harness the power of emotions and for continual growth and empowerment in every area of your life, whether it is career, finance, business, health, relationship, name it. If you want to be successful in a relationship, you need to know how to manage your emotions.
Yeah. So,
If you
I
want to be
always say the most
successful,
important thing in anything is mastering the mind. Once you've mastered the mind, that is where the premise of everything starts off. But before, the mindset,
actually,
it's the emotions, isn't it? So
yeah,
mastering emotions and your state. So when we talk about 2020 and the fact that, COVID and anxiety, uncertainty, promoted and accelerated these emotions in us where we had we were kind of frozen in this state of fear, anxiety. So those emotions are negative emotions, and some people were stuck in it throughout the whole of 2020. They didn't actually see the blessings in it. So how can you define what emotions are for you? Like, what is it when
first
we
of
talk
all,
about emotions?
Mariam, there are two things I need to say here. Number one, emotional mastery comes before mind mastery.
Right.
People say mind over matter. I say emotions over mind. Emotional mastery is the earliest prevention step of mental health.
Yes.
Because how many times it has happened to you, Mariam, for example, you feel down, but you can't figure out a logical reason why you are feeling this way.
Yeah.
Because your emotions have bypassed your logical conscious thinking process and
Yeah.
has gotten over you. So
Yeah.
emotional mastery comes before mind mastery.
Yes, everything
Okay.
begins with a, as everything begins with a thought, And that thought then becomes a
Emotions
manifest.
begin even before thought.
Yes, exactly. So, okay, so let's take an emotion then. Let's take a negative emotion that we've gone through in 2020. And
Second, another thing, Maryum, I have to say, there is
yes,
no emotion that is either positive or negative. Emotion is energy in motion that is expressed either positively or negatively. It is up
right.
to us how we choose to express our emotions, what meaning we give to our emotions.
Yes.
Pain can be a wonderful motivator for you and take you to sky high success in life, or it can drag you down through a rabbit hole of loneliness and isolation and depression.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So we want to begin this year with, positivity and success and, mastering our emotions, because that is obviously the premises of everything that we do. So if we, how do we change that state? Say that we've seen something on the news, and we want to, when we've become quite fearful, and blood pressure's going up, and we feel like the heart's pumping, and we don't know how to control ourselves. What do you do in that one moment, in that instant moment, to change that state of yours?
The first thing that you need to do whenever you are feeling an emotion, you are human, we are going to feel it for maybe a few seconds, a few minutes, but the moment you are aware of it, the statement that you tell yourself, remember, it's always the meaning you are giving to the emotions, right? So the first statement you say is that I am feeling anxiety, I am not anxious.
Right, right.
Being anxious is not your identification. It is
Mm,
just a passing emotion. And you feel
right.
so many emotions passing by throughout the day. The moment you are
Absolutely.
watchful and mindful and you are looking at your emotion, separately and saying these statements that I am not feeling fear, I am feeling fear, but I am not fearful from my fear. I am separate from my anxiety. I am
Right.
feeling this emotion, but I am not this emotion. There is immediately a separateness between you and your emotion. And then you are in that mindful I state. And
Yes.
here the emotion is as a guest visiting you in your life. This is the meaning you're giving to the emotion. You personify this emotion. Mr. Anger or
Right.
Miss Grief has come to visit you. He or she is a messenger who has come in your life with a wonderful gift of priceless information, a message that has value, that can tell you where you are going off track in your life, and that can help you to get back on track and achieve your goals faster and farther.
Yes, yes,
So you
absolutely.
see your
So,
emotion
so
from the lens of gifts, because we get excited to get gifts.
yes, yeah, yeah, absolutely. So we're looking at them as kind of little guests that are coming
Yeah,
along,
yeah,
coming for a short term, and then we get
yeah,
rid of them.
yeah.
So
Little
I think
buddies of anger, little buddies of sadness and loneliness. They're all coming to tell you something, to chat with you.
Dr. Nirvana, to master emotions takes time, practice, to develop those emotions. How did you start your journey of emotional mastery?
Mariam, don't you feel that we start our journey with our emotions since the moment we are born? A baby is born, and the first thing he or she does is cry out loud
Yes.
till that last moment when we have our last breath.
Yeah.
Our entire life is a journey of emotions. Unfortunately, our current education system does not prepare us on how to handle the emotions when life doesn't go the way we want it to go. And that happens
Yeah.
many times in life. And that happened pretty much the same story goes with me, because
So,
I come from a
Dr.
business
Navan, I want to
background.
ask you. So, Dr. Navan, I want to ask you, did you actually, what is it that you studied at school? And is it the same of what you're doing now, or is it completely different? Tell us about your kind of what you did as an education, and what your studies were when you were, um, younger.
When
Has
I
has
was
that got a
younger, yeah, I
relationship to
mean,
do with what you do
yeah,
now?
like, see, oh no, it has nothing to do what I'm doing now, because what I'm doing now, it is life experience that has brought me here, because I
Right.
was desperately looking for answers, looking for comfort and healing. And in the search of all of that, I ended up studying, like 20 different modalities of healing and therapy and coaching.
What were
And
you
I
healing
ended up,
from then? Can I ask you, what was
sorry.
that point? What was that point that you were healing from?
See, it started long back since my childhood, because the first example, what does a child need? A child need and want to be understood, loved, accepted,
Hmm.
seen, and validated, right? And my first example of love since and after the age of 4 was dysfunctional.
Oh, okay.
I come from a very affluent and a very affluent business family. So in terms of wealth and abundance and position and power in society, we had it all. But when I was 4, my father left because he wanted a different path in his life. He wanted to follow spirituality, and he believed that family life is not for him.
Oh,
And
right. Okay.
indeed,
So where did he
after my
go?
sorry,
So where did he go?
he left. He left. He didn't want to be in the society anymore.
Right. Okay.
So he just left. There was no final goodbye. There was no last goodbye. There was, how do you say, a clean cut.
Yes. Yes.
And I still remember that moment when I was 4, the day he left. And
Right.
my mom actually was standing by the staircase, and she just sat down. And I could see from her body language that something big has happened.
Right.
And
Right.
since
Okay.
he left, she was obviously shattered, and she developed her own issues, and parentification happened because my childhood turned into an adulthood. I became as if her parent.
Yeah.
Nobody told me these in words, but
Yeah.
I knew that the only person she has left in this world is me. Now it is up to me to bring her happiness.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
Not that I was correct in that thought process, but
Yeah.
this is what I understood as a child. And she was very young, she was only 18, a child with a child.
Yes.
So
Oh
she could
gosh. So
not,
very young. Yeah.
she
Very
was
young
very
indeed.
young, she was very young, and she could not connect with me. And as a result, I was always striving hard to be accepted, to be acknowledged as the perfect daughter. So
Right.
my sense of I am not good enough started at that age only.
Right. Right.
And
Right.
as I grew up, by the time I was 18 years old, I was like, you know what? I did not idolize my mother. We have an ideal of how our parents should be like, but
Mm.
most of the time, our parents are far from that ideal. And
Yeah.
by the age of 18, I had so much of conflict with my mother because she had too much of pain within herself. And when she was so full of pain, she didn't know how to handle it. It would come, out on me.
Yes. Yes.
And I
Do you,
was 18, and I was like, one thing I want in my life, I don't want to live the life of my mother.
yeah. So
And
you
I left
decided in
home.
that moment that this is not for you now.
No, it's not for me. And I left home because I wanted to run away as far as possible
Oh gosh.
from my mother, from that ambience. I thought it was a physical thing I have to run away from. I didn't
Yeah.
understand, the concept
Yes.
of
Yes.
energy and all those things at that age. So I
Yeah.
ran away, and I was traveling and living from country to country. In my book, I have written about it, from Florence, Milan, Hong Kong, Madrid, Barcelona, Dubai, India. I've been living everywhere. Why? Because I was searching for love and acceptance. I was looking for a home.
Right. Right. Right.
And I didn't know that just by changing a country, it's not that you're going to get a home.
Yes. Yes.
And what
Exactly.
happened to that inner void, emptiness? to just to cover it up, I became an overachiever in my career, because that made me feel powerful, that I have everything under my control.
So
It
what
was
did you
like an
study
armor
then?
for
Because
me.
you're a PhD. So what did you study then?
PhD came
Oh, right.
much later
Okay.
in
Okay. So
life.
what were you
It came
studying?
actually after my divorce.
Oh, right. Okay. There's so many, so much to discuss. So I wanted to ask you a question regarding family and emotion. You know, when it comes to emotional mastery, do you think that our family genes, our genetics has something to do with that as well? Like, is it passed on generation? Is something kind of passed in emotionally from generation to generation?
I would say, since you were born, there is a lot of conditioning that is imposed on you.
Right. Okay.
Okay, it is not genetics.
Oh, so it's not, it's
But
nature or nurture. So this is what I'm saying. What is it? You know?
yeah, I will quote, one of the statements of Paramhansa Yogananda, and he said, 80% of your emotions are your ambience.
Ah, right. Okay. Okay. So ambience meaning environment.
Environment, it matters a
So your
lot who you
environment
are
is a great
surrounded with.
influence of how you are emotionally.
Your society, your parents. As a child, it's your parents, because that's your first environment.
Childhood. You're talking about childhood or you're talking about adulthood as well?
As well, adulthood as well. But
Okay.
what happens here, see the trick: 0 to 7 years, everything that you absorb, like a sponge, that
Yeah.
affects 80% of your adult life thoughts.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Wow. It's a lot.
So 0 to 7 years, your ambience, your environment is majorly your parents, your
Right.
family, immediate family around you, then
Yes.
your peers in school, the teachers,
Yes.
you
Yes.
know, the outside society. Slowly and steadily, as you grow up, they come to influence.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
So your home environment is a big thing in, in building up your emotional frame later in adulthood.
So would you say that those who, we say that, so if somebody's come back, like if they come from like a broken home, or if they are, if they've had a parent that is, that died earlier, in their childhood, so that's a great effect on their life, yes,
Yes,
emotionally. That really,
absolutely.
that's something, because I can speak myself in my 20s, losing my father. And my mother lost her father when he was like 45, not even, and she was so young. I think she was 1 or 2 years old. So, and it really does shape that character, right? It really does influence.
It does, definitely.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. I had one of these clients, one client, Dennis, I remember. He was American, and he had two broken marriages already. And I met him in the Himalayas. After two broken marriages, he was like, I am meant to become a yogi, a monk in life. I leave everything. And he was there. So I was like, let's do a session. Let's see what's happening. And he would always like attract dominating women in his life. Both of his
Right.
ex-wives were very dominating women. And they,
Right.
to the extent, they would be ordering him like, Dennis, bring me a coffee. That kind of
Oh,
partners he would be attracting. So when we took him through the session, and we are talking about the second level of emotional mastery that I do in the
yeah.
process, where we go in the deep recesses of your unconscious mind and we find out what is the source origin of your rehashing emotions in life.
Right.
So
Right.
we go through the process. He enters, in his unconscious mind, and what comes up at the age of 3, he was having this friendly fight with two of his old sisters. When you are kids, you fight with the siblings. So that's
Yeah.
what they were doing. And he was the youngest, and both of the sisters kind of pinned him down on the floor.
Yeah.
And the thought that passed his mind at that point was, oh, girls are so dominating.
Right. Okay. Okay.
And his unconscious mind just caught that thought as a frozen thought. And
Right.
that thought has been working throughout his life till the age of 45. Now, are you going to allow a 3-year-old child to drive the car of your life?
Yes, yes.
He had no idea about this and he was shocked himself.
Wow, that's quite a discovery. So how does one combat something like that then? Like, how do you, if you give us some kind of practical advice, how would you say in 2021, how can we make our emotional state or our emotions work for us? Can you give us some help?
See, Maryum, that's why, because a lot of people thinks emotions are such complex processes and it's
Yeah.
too difficult to tread in, which
Yeah.
is why I have come with this 7-step breakthrough emotions formula, which
Oh,
is given details in my book. And
yeah.
if you follow this, it takes you only a few minutes. And whether you are at home or at your workplace, you can
Right.
just follow the steps and immediately you can shift your emotions. What we do there, we basically shift your energy. You shift your
Right.
energy or shift your emotions.
Right. So how, so if you give us one or two ways that we can do that, then so anybody that is listening, watching us on YouTube, that they can, kind of start that path. If you can
Yeah.
share one or
First of
two.
all, I would say the first step of this breakthrough emotions formula is that find out about your emotional energy frame. What I mean by that is that everybody has a particular emotional, energetic personality.
Right.
I mean,
Okay.
this body is made up of the different elements. So you have to find out which element are you composed of mainly. All the
So what
elements are
elements
present
are
in
there
you,
then? What
like
elements?
wood, fire, metal, earth,
Okay.
and water. And I'll give you
So
this,
how many, we've
you
got four elements. We've got wood. We've
yeah,
got,
fire, wood, earth, metal, and water. 5 elements.
okay, metal and water. Okay.
So this is a very simple way to find out which element you belong to, right? So
Okay.
let's say I give you this 5 questions. See
Yes.
which one you relate to the most.
Oh, okay. All right.
Are you a fiery, outgoing person? Second, are you very nurturing? Third, do you enjoy owning your own business? Fourth, you go with the flow? Or fifth, organization and discipline is the key to you?
So so these statements that you are saying, we have to resonate with one
Choose
of.
one for yourself.
Well,
Which one do you most
what if
relate
there are
to?
multiple of them?
Yeah, there are 5 I've given.
Yeah.
There will be one that will call out the most to you.
Right, right. Okay.
It can be 1 to 2, but mostly one. That is the major part of you.
Right.
Fiery, outgoing person, one who is
What
always
do
in
you
the
think I
center of
am then,
attention.
Dr.
Walk
Navana?
apart.
What do you think I am? Why don't let me, I want to know what I am. So, it's very interesting because like I'm both born, I'm born on Earth Day, 22nd of April, right? So I believe that I was quite earthy. And but I know from my coloring analysis and my styling that that's not true.
Yeah.
Yes, but even though that has that got anything to do with me? Because do you think I'm an earth person?
You are a totally fire element, fiery, outgoing person who is like, the center of attention. The moment you will walk into a room, everybody will be watching you. You will be
Okay.
like the heartthrob of a party.
I don't
That's
know about
you.
that, but definitely I think that I
You're
think on
like
a social
diva, which I told you in the very beginning. You are like the diva.
I think I'm definitely I like aesthetics anyway, but I thrive on more than anything, Dr. Nirvana, is like I love connection and I love connecting people and I am sociable. I love conversation and connection. So for
Yeah.
those I would say that I'm in the fire.
You are definitely a fire. See, if I would say, if we would personify, there is a water person, there is a fire person. This is
Yeah.
how a conversation will be going, right?
Yeah.
There is a group of five people. How? One water, one fire, one wood, one earth, one metal. The
Mm.
water person will say, let us eat, let us have dinner while we have a discussion about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
fire person will say, everyone is doing it. Awesome, do it. Okay, the fire person is the one who delegates. The wood person will say, I already did it yesterday. They're
Right.
the ones, overworking.
Right. Right.
Earth
Yeah.
person will say, can we all do this together? Because
Yeah.
they are the most nurturing one. They want to
Right.
bring everybody together.
Yeah. Yeah.
The metal person will say, do not do it, just be it.
Oh, right. Right. Okay. Isn't it
When
interesting
you
how we can?
go in a crowd, you can easily identify who is which element.
Yes, and I actually associate that very kind of profoundly because I've done that in styling. So obviously it really helps in understanding people and what kind of mindset, what kind of personalities they are. Just so and they fit certain roles and jobs and so how to
Yeah,
approach somebody and how to speak with somebody because you can
exactly.
already.
So if you are a fire and you are meeting a client who's a water element, you will know
Yeah,
waters love to discuss over food.
yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Well, this is what I'm
they will
saying,
be like, let's
Doctor.
have something, drink something. You will probably invite that person for a coffee or a wine and then, discuss business.
So fire and water, you said.
Yeah, water. Yeah.
Oh, well, I don't know because I do have. I feel like I have. Can you have a sub element? Because I think I have an element that is strong, and then I might have a sub element.
Yes,
But yeah,
you
I
can
can have
have
like.
two elements actually.
Oh,
You
right.
can have,
Okay.
most people have one to two elements, but one
Yeah.
is the strongest. If
Strongest.
you're
Yes.
going
Dominant.
somewhere and the client is a metal element, you will have to talk more about the spiritual qualities and the meaning it will bring, the value it will bring to
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. Yeah. And is this something that you've developed yourself, or is this a system that you've kind of that has been taught to you?
It is an ancient system in the
Ah.
Eastern cultures that have been there for thousands of years.
Right. 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 Yeah. It's very interesting because it really helps.
And
Sorry.
now that you know, Mariam, you are a fire element. So this was the
Right.
first step to find out which element you are. And it's a fun process to do the questionnaire and find out. Once you have done that, now
Yeah.
you know the main organ that belongs to the fire element
Oh,
is,
okay.
yeah, is your heart.
Oh, really? I actually
Yeah.
always thought it was my throat. I actually thought maybe because I'm a Tauri and cusp Aries, I actually thought that I was a it's my kind of throat, my voice. But oh, it's my heart. Yeah, I
Of
guess
course, we can go much
my
deeper
heart.
into it and find out more. But normally, fire element, the governing organ, is the
Yeah.
heart. Yeah.
Oh,
So
wow.
that's the most, for when you are you doing self care, you have to take special care about your heart.
Yes,
And
yes.
the emotion that governs the heart, the
Mm,
primary emotion for you,
yeah.
will be panic,
Oh, really?
impatience.
Oh, I've learned patience a lot in this last 8 years since I got
That's
married.
your learning lesson in this lifetime.
Yes, and so I've learned that that was a training course in itself, but another story. But yeah, so panic.
Because fire people, they want to run 1,000 miles in like 10 minutes.
Yeah, I feel that I'm doing the marathon in my mind,
Yeah,
but I'm actually just walking. That's how
yeah,
it is. Actually, that is
yeah.
me on a daily basis. I
So you
want
have to
so
consciously
much.
slow down.
Yeah, and I feel that sometimes I'm so creative. I've got so many things in my head that I actually have to stop and I have to think, okay, like just
You
calm.
can get burnout very quickly,
Yeah, I think
because of this.
yes, yeah, and I think that's why the rest is so important. The self-care and just I'll just have to change and go out for a walk or just take some time.
You
Just
and
relax.
I have given all these in details in my book,
Oh,
like
yes.
what
So
you
we
can
can
do
find
to
out
balance your
exactly
fire.
what kind of what element and then obviously what organ and what emotions and kind of that step. But how
Yeah, yeah.
fascinating is that? Because
And what will work for you, Mariam, as a fire element, instruments of violin or cello,
oh,
they will be
nice.
very soothing for you. They will pull you.
Yeah, and you know what? Do you know what? That's really strange because I actually love classical music. When I get really, really exhausted, I usually used to. This is a term that I use. I say I want to empty my brains and just want to just not think. And when I just don't want to think, I actually listen to classical music, and it's really weird. And I was like, "Oh, what are you listening to?"
Yeah, because
Instrumental, definitely. Like I love listening to like sitar and the old classical Indian
yes,
music. So
yes, that's what I said, the
I
string
actually
instruments.
resonate with that. How interesting is that? You know what I love?
Because sounds are directly connected with emotions.
Yes,
You
yes,
know, for earth
absolutely.
element, they will go for drumming.
Who will?
But
Sorry?
for you as a for earth element, they
Yeah.
will go for drumming.
Right, right. Okay.
But you as a fire element, you will feel refreshed and energized with string instruments, with sitar
Right,
and violin and cello.
right, right.
You
Okay.
will feel, you know, if you are too much stressed out,
Yeah.
what will calm you down and re-energize your entire system will be like sitting by a bonfire, the
Ah,
fire
yes.
element.
Yes. Oh, that's quite. And I've done lots of bonfires when I in my childhood, and yeah, very soothing.
Yeah,
It's probably the nicest thing. The most important thing a person should do in 2021 is, I believe, is to understand who they are. You know, one has a duty to themselves before we talk about purpose and passion and, following that passion of yours and going for it. I think that now, like, that is completely secondary. Firstly, you have to understand who you are, and that goes back to emotions and understanding who you are. Like, how can you help anybody else? How can you have a relationship? How can you be a partner? How can you go for a job? Until you know who you are yourself, you've got to kind of really ask the questions and dig deep, don't you? You've got to understand, what are you made from and what are you capable of doing, and then if you're not, then kind of use, develop your skill and your capacities. And so I'm in bed. I don't want to get out of bed, and I just don't want to see anybody. I don't want to have a conversation with anybody. I don't even want to look at my phone. I don't want to do, like, those days, like, you don't want to do anything and you just get stuck. I
that's
don't get
when
stuck.
you follow the 7 step
Ha-
emotions breakthrough formula
okay.
to shift your emotional state immediately, instantly, in a matter of few minutes.
Right, right.
Once that is done, you have to move on to the second step because you need to find out, go much deeper, dig deeper to
Yes, yes,
find out why you have been feeling what you have been feeling.
yes. Yeah, yeah,
That's where
absolutely.
comes the second step of inner child healing,
Right.
going back to the source of your emotions.
So yeah, going back.
Once
So
that is healed, yeah, we are going, deeper with that.
yeah,
Once that is done, and let's say that's like the manufacturing unit of the
right.
emotion, right?
Okay.
So unless you stop the production of the wrong things from the manufacturing unit, here you are changing things, once it has already come out. But unless you stop it from the manufacturing unit, it will keep producing the same thing again and again, right?
Right, right.
So
Yeah.
we go to the manufacturing unit and we heal it from the source origin. Once that
Right,
is done, you are clear,
right,
but
right.
you have to
Yes.
maintain that state. Then comes the third level, which is the energy diet.
Right, right. So you think that obviously what we put into our bodies really affects our emotions?
Yes, the ancient yogi says like attracts like. So
Ah,
anything that comes externally into the body, it creates a similar reaction. For example, you eat heavy food, you feel heavy. Your
yes,
body feels heavy, your emotions feel heavy.
yes,
So
yes, yes,
every food has a vibration and an intelligence of its own because they are life forms.
yes, yes.
For
So,
example, simple thing, because now we are going into 2021,
yes.
papaya, it has the qualities to, to shift resistance to change.
Oh, really?
Because right now we are going through a lot of changes and many people are afraid of changes.
Yes, yes.
So they must incorporate a lot of papaya in their diet. These
Oh,
are all there in the ancient, traditions of the
yes,
Eastern
yes.
cultures. If you're feeling down on a particular day in the morning for you, have some cherries. Cherries bring you cheerfulness.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. That's good.
So in my book, again, I've given a list of different fruits and
Right.
food that has different qualities that you can, by having those food, you can
What is
imbibe
it?
those
What
qualities.
are the problems? So I know that you spent some time in the Himalayas. What made you go there? And um, and what was the reason? Is that part of your education or your training?
I was going through wreck after wreckage in life for quite some time.
Right. Right.
And it started not just with my childhood, with my dysfunctional family pattern that I already mentioned before,
Yeah. Yeah.
but the time also came when I thought life was perfect for me. I had it
Right.
all planned out. I was engaged to my childhood sweetheart,
Oh,
from my university, and we were together for 12 years. And
wow.
when you think you have it all planned out, that's when life strikes at you at the most unexpected moment, when you are most unprepared.
Right. Yes,
And
absolutely.
one fine morning on his way to work, we were like at that time planning to get married. I was
Mhm.
actually designing my wedding gown.
Oh,
And one fine morning on his way to work, he was killed in a fatal car crash.
oh my
It
gosh.
was sudden. He was a voice of inspiration to me
Yeah.
throughout, while he was there. He was the one who was more matured, more understanding.
Right. Right.
And I always say that grief takes from you, but it also wakes you up. That
Yes.
was the time the grief woke me up, that there was more meaning to the relationship that I did not honor while he was there.
Oh wow. Like, so you've lost the love of your life, the person
Yes.
you're
And
going to
again,
spend
without
the
being,
future with, that you have hoped that this is the person that will you're going to have, family and a future
yeah,
together,
yeah, yeah.
and
We
that's
talked
taken
about
away.
getting married,
What
we
did you
talked
like?
about having children. And again, Mariam, without saying the last goodbye, the same thing that had happened with my father.
Oh, oh
The
gosh.
same pattern again got repeated.
Oh,
And
what did you
immediately after that
what
happened,
did
I
you
thought that
feel in
was,
that? Like, you felt grief, but like, how did you
I
feel?
was numb emotionally
Um,
because it was too much of a shock. I
yeah,
would not even say that, mention his name, that Hernando died. I would say he died, because he is somebody I cannot relate to,
yeah.
than taking his name that
You
he's
want
no
to
more.
block him out now.
Yeah. I was emotionally numb, but I was pretending as if everything is fine. And
Hmm.
at that very moment, that was just not enough in life for me. Life had more in plans for me. My
Yeah.
mother was diagnosed with a degenerative lung disease.
Soon
And
after.
soon after. And at that time, I decided that I want to fly back to India because I did not want my mom to feel unsupported at that phase and age of
So
her
where were
life.
you at that time then?
I used to live in Barcelona at that time.
Oh, right. Okay.
So I
Okay.
flew down from Europe to India to be with her. And I thought perhaps this is my last chance to resolve all those unresolved issues with her, the unresolved conflicts with her.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was still
Okay.
trying desperately to follow my duties and be that perfect daughter
Yes. Yes.
with
Yeah.
her. So I flew down to India at that time, and there were innumerable visits to hospitals, doctors. My life was totally taken up by all of that, and self care was in number zero priority.
Yes.
And
Yes.
those are the moments when you find out who your true friends and families are.
It's times like that, isn't it? It's time when you're rock
Yes.
bottom and you don't have anything, and you're just, it's, isn't it true? It's really when
I
when
mean,
you're absolutely.
Yeah, and deep down, you know that she's not going to be there to see you get married, to
So
have
did the doctors
children.
like
And
tell you that she's not going to live more than a few years, or did they?
yes, they said anything can happen at any time. It's like watching a death, countdown clock
Oh my
going on,
gosh.
ticking for you. And every time we would go to the hospital, they will make me sign a bond that they are not responsible for whatever happens.
Hmm.
And they were intense moments of fear and desperation and helplessness.
Do you
To
think
fight.
that her disease started to to form years
Yes,
before?
of
You
course,
know,
because
they say
grief.
that don't they say that, when people like are diagnosed with cancer or like diseases, they say it didn't happen just yesterday. This has been
Yeah,
forming in your mind and your body. It's been creating, it's kind of forming for years and years. It's
yes,
not something that's
yes,
just
yes.
happened, is it?
Yes, it was a lot of suppression of grief and sadness, and that's what affects the lungs because it was her lungs that was affected.
Oh,
Not
oh,
able to express the tears,
yeah.
voice out her sadness and grief.
Oh, sad.
And there were those were the times when relatives moved away. They would rather come and tell me, Navana, we have our own family as well to take care
Yeah.
of, or we
Mm,
cannot see her in this condition, which were all justifications because they were simply afraid that I'm going to ask them for help, whether
yes.
it is
That's
financial
what it
help.
is, isn't it? They're just afraid that they don't call me for help. Don't I don't want to get involved.
Yes, they
And isn't
just
that
didn't want
sad?
to get
Because
involved.
you'd think that they would be the first to offer, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It
So,
kind of makes you think that you can't rely on anybody, you know.
yes,
Can't,
you are
can't
alone
rely. Is
in
that
your
kind of,
journey. Yes.
so where did you get your strength from? Like
That is when I
how did you
started
carry
looking.
on looking after yourself, your mom, and where does one get the strength?
I started to look out for, I had a lot of questions. I asked myself, what is the purpose of my life? Is it all about duties and obligations and
Yeah.
targets and deadlines? Or is there more to life? I had so many questions at that age. I started looking for answers. So I started going to anybody would tell me of any workshop, I would go and attend that. Any healing session, new age masters. I was traveling from workshop to workshop.
Mm.
And, I would sit and gaze at a candle for hours. If somebody would tell me, use this essential oil, use this flower essence, I'll be like, yes, let's try that. I would be sitting, in the center of like crystals all around me and try to practice visualizations. This
Yes.
is how I ended up qualifying in over 20 coaching and therapy and healing modalities.
Okay, right,
Now,
right.
did that really help me, empower me to a certain extent? Yes, because I got all the theoretical knowledge. I
Yeah.
got all the psychological basis and the scientific facts.
Yes, yes.
But it gave me a feel good factor for some time, for a week, even a month, a few months. But then
Yeah.
again, I would be back to that same point.
Yes,
And
yes.
that's when, I was losing faith in my own self. Because when you are trying to always pretend who you are not, inside I'm feeling helpless and powerless, but outside I'm trying to be that confident and powerful woman. It's
Yeah.
a constant conflict you are having, an inner conflict that exhausts you mentally, emotionally, and down the line, physically as well.
Yes, yes, absolutely. You can't
So,
keep it up. You can't keep up that kind of fake image, you know?
not for too long. Not
No.
for too long. And that's when,
It's exhausting.
the
It's really exhausting. I don't know how people do it, honestly.
it
I
is
don't think
exhausting.
anybody, this
That's
is
the
what
right word.
this is why, you've got to be authentic and kind of live in your truth and be who you are, because I think living any other way is damaging, like you said, internally. It's exhausting. It really is. I
But
think
it is also not if their own truth, they may not be accepted or acknowledged.
yeah.
Everybody, it comes down to the same point that I'm not good enough.
Yes, yes. That's it, isn't it?
Everybody's looking for
That's
that connection, that acceptance and love. And they are afraid that if I am myself, my true self, I may not be accepted. So they are afraid that if I am myself, I may not be accepted.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think that's that fear of actually revealing who we are deep down. But I just think that if people like now, obviously, many more people have now, you know, mental health has become normalized, in 2020, and people are talking about
Yeah.
emotions and their
People are
feelings,
getting more
how they're
aware.
feeling, and and it's a great strength to talk about how you're feeling, and being
Yeah.
vulnerable is a
Yeah.
strength. It really is a strength,
But
and showing who you are and how you're feeling, because no one can be happy 24 hours. No one can be successful all the
no,
time,
that's the cliche. Saying that you have to always be happy.
Ah, yeah.
Happiness loses its meaning if there is no sadness.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you've got to have a contrast, isn't it? How can you know failure and success? You've got to know that,
Yeah.
you don't, you like happiness and sadness,
Because
it is.
we live in a world of duality.
Yeah,
If there is happiness, there will be the other opposite as
yeah,
well.
absolutely,
And
absolutely.
everything that I learned over that period of time, because I was losing faith in my own self, so I was trying to cling on to having
Yeah,
faith in something much larger in life.
yes,
Maybe that is what's called higher self or angels or God.
yes, yes.
Something bigger that can come and rescue me from that situation.
Yes, yes.
And
So,
at that point, my mom passed away. And everything that I've learned so far, did it work? No.
no, no, yeah,
Because when you have lost somebody, you know how it feels.
yeah,
No amount of spiritual knowledge or
yeah,
book knowledge can prepare you for the pain that you go through in that moment.
yeah,
It
absolutely.
was,
And I think when my father passed away, there's so many of my own friends that, most of them sympathized. They didn't empathize because,
yeah,
they didn't know that feeling, and it's don't wish it upon anyone, but it's just the way that the world is, the elders, when you
and
never know,
everyone
it's
has to
unpredictable,
go
but
through it.
you can't really understand somebody's pain. A friend of mine's just lost her father about a month back, and he was like my guardian from my wedding. And I remember his last words, like, this guy's not good for you, in my own marriage. And I'm
Yeah.
just, and I broke into tears as well. He's like my abuji, and like, and I felt those emotions. And when you've lost someone, I don't know if it's with you, but I go back to my own father's death straight away, like this. Yeah,
Yeah.
because those emotions come back, and you can feel somebody's pain. Then that person, and that my friend actually says, she goes, "No, I know how you feel. Like, I
Yeah.
know how you feel now."
For
Yeah.
me, it was very difficult, very painful, very cathartic, to the extent because I did not have anybody else to share with.
Yeah. So
I
who was your,
sometimes
like,
I
this is what I'm
feel
saying.
that
Like,
I
I've
don't
got
have
my
anyone. I
sister.
don't have a
Who
family.
did you who did you who did you, who did you have a shoulder to cry on? Like, who is that
Yeah.
person?
I did not have anyone. I did not have a family. I did not have sibling. I did not have parent. So I would come home at in the evening and walk in a dark apartment with no one waiting for me. Like, imagine how it feels like when you are coming back at home and there is nobody waiting for you, nobody to share your
Yeah.
joys, your sorrow, or to ask you how was your day like.
Do you think that was your darkest moment in life? Do you think that?
No, it was yet to come.
Oh, okay. All right. So having that feeling of loneliness and emptiness after your mother passed away, what did you do then? How did you recover from that state? Because that's a big loss. That's a big life-changing moment.
I was going through this rabbit hole of isolation and depression,
Mm,
and I just didn't know how to deal with all that fear and insecurity and a whole mix of emotions that was coming up
yeah.
from, the loss of somebody,
Yes.
of your parent in your life. The process of death, the grief of death is too painful.
Yeah.
I made my next big mistake. I got married
Right. Okay. So that was like a
to the
rebound.
first man, to the first man who came in my life to say that I love you and I'm going to take care of you.
Was that
Because I
immediately after, or did you, when someone's grieving, how did you find him? Did he just, when did you meet him, or how did you come
I
across him?
met him. I met him in another one of those healing workshops in
Oh, right.
Goa.
Okay. So you're on the road to recovery, and you've met somebody.
Yeah, yeah. I am still looking for
You
healing
know
to
that
heal
saying
my
though,
dreams.
don't marry anybody, you don't have a relationship with anybody that you meet in therapy. You know that, right? You know the saying.
So this man comes in my life and he
Yeah.
offers me that I will take care of you. And
Oh,
remember, I was always looking for that security, that safety that I never got from my parents.
yeah.
So I was still looking, in a way, maybe a father figure in my
But
life.
you're vulnerable at this stage, right,
I
Dr.
was
Navana?
vulnerable. Yeah.
You're vulnerable. You're emotionally, you're still healing. You still got wounds, and this person is obviously wanting to say, "Okay, I'm going to protect you. I'm going to come and look after you." This is,
So you are like a child, you are like a wounded child.
yeah.
It is my wounded child whose father walked away when she was 4.
Mm. So
And
you
now
went
this
back to
man
4 years old.
comes.
Did you go back to 4 years old at at that
I
moment in
believe
time?
it was my 4-year-old that
Yes.
was expressing
Talking.
herself.
Yeah, yeah.
And this man comes and he says, I'm going to take care of you. And that was it, living my, that fairy tale dream. And of
Right.
course, you tell yourself at that point, I'm in love.
Mm. Yeah.
But what I was looking for is emotional dependency.
Yes, yes. You needed somebody in your life. Yeah.
Yes. And my fairy tale love did not end as a fairy tale, because
Right.
immediately after the marriage, it turned into a nightmare of an abusive marriage.
Oh my gosh.
There was a lot of physical abuse, emotional abuse, sexual
Somebody
abuse.
be so spiritual and make these claims, and then, go the opposite way. I mean, did you see any signs of someone, surface like that before? Did you think
Not at
you don't
all,
marry
not
somebody
at
like that
all,
anymore?
because
But like, do you know what I mean? Was there any
yeah,
hint or anything?
not at all. He knew my vulnerability when he met me
Yeah.
there, and he saw me as a single person, a single woman with no other family to question,
Right.
to
Right.
justify anything. And if he could play on my vulnerabilities, emotional vulnerabilities at that point,
Yeah.
he would have it all. He
Mm.
would have all the advantages of the material advantages, the money, all of it.
Yeah.
So that was his game plan. So, and he planned it out and he played it out magnificently at that point.
Really. So when it was,
So till
when
the
was that
day
point?
before marriage, everything was perfect.
Yeah, as it is, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
that your future partner will be the best thing that you've ever seen, and they put you on a pedestal, and they think that you're just,
Yeah.
uh,
And he was, and another thing, Mariam, he was quite older than me. He was 7 years
oh,
older than me. So, in
7.
a way, 7 years older than me.
Right, right.
So,
Okay.
in a way, when I look back now, I could see that I was actually looking for a father figure in my life, the father
Right,
that I never had when I was a child. I
right.
was too tired taking care of everything in my life, from my fiance's death, my mom's death, nursing through her the entire process. I was so tired and exhausted in every way that I wanted someone else to be in the driver's seat.
Yes, yes, yes.
And
So,
I did not realize that in your own life, you need to be in your driver's seat. Nobody can then drive the car for you.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So when did it hit you that you kind of, you need to kind of, something is not right, and this is not the way that, did you feel, what did you feel like at that point? Do you feel scared, or do you feel like frightened, like this is not this is not the life that I was thinking of, or promised, or envisioned for my
It
life?
takes a while to wake up, right?
Yeah. Were you yeah.
Because when you are in that pattern, no matter how uncomfortable it is, you find it very difficult to hang on to the security, the safety of a dysfunctional pattern, because you feel that at least I know this. If I
Yeah.
get out of this, I don't know what waits for me. The unknown is too fearful.
Yes, yes, yeah, absolutely. So you just hung on to the
So
familiarity of it all.
exactly. So the first time he hit me, I thought maybe tomorrow morning when I wake up, he will change. Or better still, I thought maybe the problem is with me, that
Mm,
I will change myself to fit in, and then he will be happy and everything will be fine.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I shut myself off completely. I did not reach out to my friends. I did not talk to anybody. And one of the worst cases was one day I was hit so badly that I almost lost my eyesight.
Oh
I could
my
not
gosh.
look, open my eyes and, look in the normal light. And when I went to the doctor, I just told him that I slipped and fell because there was too much of shame to even say it. I did not go out for days.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
just wanted to hide and cringe.
yeah. Do you think that you kind of shameful, not for what the act that he's done, but more of like the decision that you made, and like maybe kind of blaming yourself,
It was
like
always
how could I
blaming
make this
myself
decision?
that I'm not good enough,
Not good enough. Yeah.
that there is something wrong with me. I am lacking something.
Yes.
Because the night when the final betrayal happened, and personally and professionally, there was a breach of trust. The first thought that went across my mind: where did I fall short?
Yeah.
Was I not a good wife? Did I not do my duties properly?
Yeah.
Was I
You
not
questioned
a
yourself.
understanding business partner? Did
Right.
I not work hard enough? Did I not give 100%?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So the first finger you point at your own self.
Yes. Yes.
And
Absolutely.
that
Blame
was the
yourself.
turning point. I did what seems to be the craziest decision of my life. I just packed my duffel bag. Next morning, I went to the Himalayas.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So uh, escaping, or kind of, yeah, kind of an escape, yeah, escaping from him to something else. Why did you choose
Yes.
the Himalayas?
Yes. Why the Himalayas? Because there was a voice inside me that was already saying that, give up because that's the easy way out.
Yeah.
But deep down, I still knew that no, this is not my time yet. I still want to live fully. I want to live deeply and richly that I deserve to.
So you wanted to just end everything at that point in
So
time.
I wanted to get away from everything, get my head clean,
Right.
take a breather,
Right.
and
Okay.
find myself back. There were just too many questions, too much complexities, too many confusion.
Right. Okay.
And I had to take myself out of this entire situation.
So that's a act of bravery that you've done. Firstly, you've left, and then secondly, you've just retreated to the Himalayas.
There's a saying that goes that whoever in India especially, that when everything in life, like nothing is working out, you go to the Himalayas. That's where you get all the answers.
Oh,
That's the
really? Oh, wow.
epitome of spirituality.
Oh, okay. Okay. I didn't know that. I mean, it is a very spiritual kind of uh location, but I didn't know that that was a saying, in India, or, a
Yeah,
saying.
yeah. I was looking for a guide. I was looking for answers. Somebody to, give me that sign of hope.
Yeah.
And I found my guru in Himalayas.
Right. So you go and you find someone that can guide you then.
Yes, yes. When they say when the student is ready, the teacher
Yes.
appears.
Yes,
That's what happened with
absolutely.
me.
Absolutely. Exactly. So what did you learn whilst your stay
And
at?
the first thing I told him, when I remember that moment when I was sitting with my guru and I told him I was totally, at that time, I was broken, totally broken. I could not take it anymore. And even ending your life takes a lot of courage. I remember that night, I was sitting in my room, thinking of all the different ways how I can end my life. And I told him that I don't have a purpose to live. Give me one purpose to wake up tomorrow morning. Because everybody is living for somebody else. Everybody is living for either they have children or they have parents or the husband, wife. I don't have anyone to live for.
Yeah, yeah,
And he
exactly.
asks me, I'll tell you in Hindi actually. He asked me,
Yeah.
Manushya kiske liye jeeta hai? Who do man live for? And
Right.
I said, I don't know.
Yeah.
He said, अपने आप के लिए जीता है. You live for your own self.
Oh,
And he said, I can show you the road, but you have to walk the walk. The
right, right.
journey to realize your own self is a journey alone. And he
Wow.
said, I still remember his words, उसको पूछ के देख जिसके पेट में खाने के लिए एक दाना भी ना हो, वो
Mm,
कहाँ तक जाएगा एक दाना अन्न के लिए. मनुष्य अपने आप के लिए जीता है.
right.
Ask someone who does not have a grain of rice to eat, and he will go to what length to feed him his own self.
Yeah,
Every person is living for his own self. This is a journey of self, is a journey alone.
right,
And then I realized the real work is within.
right,
So
right.
I just threw away all these, long
That was your life changing moment. That was the point, isn't it? Sometimes you people are introduced in your life and things happen, and that was probably the most important time of your life where the course, they say the crossroads where things
yeah,
change.
yeah,
That's where it all changed for you then.
yeah. He said, till the last breath is there, effort must be there because hope is there.
Ah,
आखिरी
yes,
सांस तक नहीं छोड़ना है.
yes,
And
yes.
then it came to me, okay, fine. I have been punched by life real hard. I
Yes.
have been
And
fucked
don't we
real
have this
hard.
notion though, Dr. Navana, that we live for others, we help others, we live for others. And so in amongst all of this kind of circus that we live in, we forget about who we are and we nurture
Yes,
ourselves. And I'm one of those recovering people pleasers that spends all my time and energy helping others, and realized last year that, Maryum, stop, bus karo. You know what I mean? Enough now. You need to pay attention to yourself. And where we give so much to everybody else, we do for everyone else, but we don't even speak the kind words that we have for ourselves, and we don't treat ourselves like we would a friend or a dear friend. um yeah, that's quite profound. So we understanding and loving ourselves, that is the most important person in life.
unless you develop that connection with your own self, you cannot have a true, deep, meaningful connection with anybody else.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I completely, and understanding who you are and connecting with yourself, and really, yeah. Yeah, like becoming who you want to be as well. Excellent. That's just profound. So what did you do then
That's
whilst you were
when
in,
I
how long were
learned,
you, pardon?
that's when I learned that, in the Himalayas, then I learned all the different techniques, the ancient techniques.
Yeah.
I just
Was that
threw
about
away all
mastering
the.
yourself? So you spent like how long in the Himalayas, and what did you do? Like, do you use techniques to just master
I spent
yourself?
like 2 years in the Himalayas.
Right.
Yeah,
And kind of just working on yourself and your self development,
just
understanding
working
you.
on myself. I was having minimal contact with people outside, and I was so fulfilled with my life. And the bounty of nature of the
Yeah,
mountains, the rugged Himalayas.
yeah,
It just pulls you in there. So
absolutely.
much of abundance of nature. And that's when I realized one day that I can actually stand in that naked silence of the mountains in my own solitude and aloneness and enjoy that moment fully.
Yes. Wow. So you did a
Because
lot
I
of
used to be
work to
so
get.
scared before of not having our own family, of being
Yeah.
alone. And that's how I got married, even because I did not want to be alone.
So
And today I am
fear
standing
drove
in
you
front of
to
you.
making wrong, desperate decisions.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
So I'm just saying that fear drove you to making, desperate decisions. And fear is something that kind of manipulates our mind, doesn't it? And we think when we're in a state of fear, we do. If I look at my own life, I think if when I'm that fearful, desperate person, um, and I'm not realizing my own self-worth and my own realization, I've made the worst decisions of my life on a, just not that you can either live, I think, from a state of love or fear. and
Yes,
and I think every time I've come from a place of fear, I make the worst
yes,
decisions. Yeah.
yes, totally. And it's not just about fear, it's about not knowing how to handle the fear. Because
Yes.
fear was there to give me some message.
Yeah.
But I did not. I wish when I was a little girl, somebody would taught, somebody had taught me
Yes.
how to handle my difficult emotions, how to
Yeah.
guide my thoughts, how to soften and ease around my feelings moment by moment to create a life that I want.
Yeah.
Nobody was there to guide me. So
I
that's
mean,
when I decided that no, now I need to bring all my expertise, all my knowledge, my learnings, my life experience together to make it easier for others
yeah.
to achieve that level of emotional mastery where they can accept and understand their emotions and
Yeah.
turn their emotions, as an ally, as a friend, as a mentor, instead of being getting afraid of your own emotions. Because
Yes. Yes.
emotions are always going to be there. As long as you have this body with the five senses, you will be experiencing your emotions.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Absolutely.
will always be connected to your emotions.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. And
So
if
you
you
need
don't
to
have
learn, we
emotions,
need
then
to
you don't
learn
have
how to
a
handle
feeling of
them.
life. How can you feel how can you feel life if you don't have emotions? Right?
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Even your decisions are based on your emotions.
Yeah, yeah. So
First,
how would you go out how to make a decision in life? What is your process, and what is that creative process that you have? Like, say you want to make an important decision, and so many people that in this 2021 will be making, new relationships, new work, new projects, and they're looking for making successful, abundant lives. What advice would you give to them?
there is too much of uncertainty going on around us right now. There is a
Yeah,
lot of still fear and anxiety from
yes,
this year that has been dragged on to next year. The
yeah,
only certainty that you can have at this moment is to know who you truly are. Everything else around you will change because life is not static. Change is the only permanent thing in life. But what will not change is your own essence, who you truly are. And when you are connected to your own essence, you understand who you truly are. At that point, you are automatically vibrating in a very high level emotion. And
yeah,
at that stage, whatever decision you take will be the right decision for you because that decision is aligned to your heart. It's aligned to who you are. It is not based on what others are expecting out of you.
yeah, absolutely. So, it's like a tree standing strong with its roots grounded. So even if the wind blows, it's not going to go in one direction or the other. It's going to stand still in what that
Yes,
tree
it's like
knows.
an anchor. It's the
Yeah,
only anchor for you in life that will
yeah,
never let you down.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, gonna really having to work on our own strength and building our own. It just developing ourselves. I think that's what we've got to do. And having, the first podcast about emotions is really about that whole, going into the whole 2021 for that same purpose, that if you don't know yourself in these, like, develop yourself in the first couple of months, or it's a continuous work in progress, but start that journey of, helping yourself, loving yourself, understanding who you are, and then then it becomes easier. I
It is
mean, we
part of
met.
your self-care.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Some people, for me, some people think that self-care is just, looking good or pampering themselves, but I think it's much more deeper than that.
Yes.
It's much more nurturing than that, than just going and then painting your nails or just looking good and putting a mask on, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. A
Yeah.
lot of people think self-care is going to a spa or going for
Yeah.
shopping or
Yeah,
going to a
exactly.
salon. But
Exactly.
self-care starts from within.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. For me, like, when we're talking about frequency and, vibrations and energy. I mean, we met last year at in Dubai at in a Success Resources event, and we were talking about this, like we've known each other for a whole year, but I always say where you are is where you're meant to be. And I think, our conversation and the podcast had to be recorded today. We had to meet in certain ways and connect on a certain level, and I think until your frequencies like are matched, you don't, like, you're
Yeah,
aligned, aren't
yeah.
they? So even us meeting is completely, a year of meeting and saying we're going to do the podcast, and it's actually taken a year to gonna get it done, so that's it. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that's what it is. So, building, I think I'm such a big believer of energy. And how did we meet? I think you are, like, I think I can't even remember, but you reminded me, didn't you, that you said, like, I think you asked me to take a picture or something, and
Yes.
yeah, and I was like, okay. So, like, even that, and
You
people.
were doing something with your bag and you just looked up with a smile, a very radiant and very genuine smile. And I just said, "Can you click a picture for me?"
Yeah, and I think that's what it is. People are attracted to people's energy, and people are attracted to certain people, how, I mean, I always find that like attracts like, and you do once I feel that this year for me has been a year of change, but I've found that myself changing, and as I've changed and opened up and become more expressive, I think that my work has become and developed so differently. It's so different now than it was. The people, the guests that I have, the conversations that I have are so much more different, and they evolve as I evolve. Half the guests are actually teaching me. We're teaching everybody else, but I'm learning myself so much. So I think that what I would like to ask you is, how can we create opportunities or people, a good energy to come into our life? How can we attract that if it's all about energy and vibration?
Don't you feel, Mariam, like when you are very happy, your face shows, it glows with that radiant energy of
Oh no, it's just
happiness.
makeup.
Oh, no, 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 it is not. It is not. Even with somebody with a lot of makeup, you walk in a room and even they might be the most beautifully and expensively dressed people, but you'll be like, the air is so thick, I can slice through it.
Yeah, 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 absolutely, absolutely.
Remember, emotion is energy in motion. So the
Yeah.
energy you are feeling is emotion
Yes, yes. So how
in
can we
motion.
attract then? How can we attract good energy then?
When you yourself is vibrating in a high level emotion and it
Yeah,
shows on your face, you will
yeah.
be attracting the whole world of miracles and opportunities and goodness to you.
Yes, yes. So we need to be, like, I think diet, like you said, there's so many elements to actually creating good emotions and energy. And for me, I'm a big one for energy, but I did want to share a story. So probably when I was working in London, I was invited, I had styled a lady anyway. She was a very famous painter, and she was doing her exhibition. Basically got stuck in traffic, arrived at the event late. Okay, so fashionably late. But Dr. Navana, honestly, something happened that's that's something that incredible that happened that day. So I walk into my event and I'm late. So as I walk in, and everybody's like, chit chatting, having canapes and drinks and all sorts. I walk into this room, and I can feel all eyes on me. Like I feel like that everybody's just staring. And there's I could see, I looked and I was like, maybe somebody's behind me or what's going on? Like literally, I felt like some kind of I felt like everybody was the paparazzi and I was the celebrity. And I walked in and I actually thought, am I looking okay? Is everything okay? And then I remember looking behind thinking, like, somebody behind me. And that is one moment that I remember, maybe that I was in my element or the energy was so high that I could feel people looking at me. And then I thought about it, like, what is it? Is it visual? What is it? But it wasn't. It was just, that's one moment that I've had in my life. And I was like, I actually I felt it. You know what I mean? And you think,
Yes.
oh, where is that coming from? And I just had a very beautiful, like a Kashmiri shawl on. It was a bit
Yeah.
cold. Had a beautiful turquoise color, and I thought, what it is, and I think I had my, I did kind of cascading hair, but it wasn't that. It was that I think that was part of it. I think visuals definitely help, but it was just I walked in and everybody's eyes just I felt like they just all turned around and looked at me. And I one or two did, but then that's when I looked behind thinking, is there somebody else? I don't know what it was. Like what would you explain that would be? What was that?
As you said, visuals definitely help the outward appearance.
Yeah.
It will help for a few short seconds. In
Yes.
order to sustain that effect of it, it
Yeah.
is again the energy, your energy that speaks out, and
Yeah.
everyone feels the energy, whether
Yeah.
consciously or unconsciously.
Everything that I've done is based on energy. My whole success in my work previously before leaving and going to Dubai was based on like the projects that I started, the people that I met. All the work is done because I've always been known for high energy. Even when I was at college, I got named Mad Max because I was always running around like Mad Max, like in the movie. And everybody was like, "Oh, who's that girl?" And or organizing events for student union or helping somebody, or in my break running here, running there. So I've
Mm-hmm.
always been like a quite energetic person. But I realized like last year, like 2020, was a year where I had to slow down and like Maryum,
Yeah.
give this time to yourself because you're literally just giving all of yourself to everyone else. And I don't mind. Like my father was used to say, look after number one, which is you, and then help two and three along the way. It's been his philosophy. And I was like thinking about him the other day, and I was like, this is what he said to me. He said so many profound things to me, and I forgot, like, what I'm doing. And I think that's what it is. People don't realize, like how important energy is and how attractive it is. And it's not how beautiful you look. It's really about how you impact somebody emotionally, internally, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Because end of the day, this world is running on emotions.
yeah,
We
yeah.
buy things what makes us feel good.
Yes, yes,
The
absolutely.
entire advertising industry is running on this concept.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
It's a people's world. The only way, it's a people culture that we say.
Yes,
The only way you can convince anybody, if only you can change their heart, then only you can change their mind.
yes, yes. And that's why I always say, whatever you do, do it with your whole heart. Like do it with your whole heart because it's the only way that you can do something. And then, it's strange now that right at the end, like I'm getting it because everything that I do does compromise with my heart. Like it has, like, well, obviously it works with heart, but everything that I do, I was like, put your heart and soul in it, or don't do it if your heart's not in it. And now
Yeah,
I'm thinking
yeah,
about it, like you've just said, I just feel like I'm just connecting the dots of what you just said to me
yeah, yeah,
about my element and my organ and everything kind of. It's such a great pattern, isn't it? It's such a great way to learn something about yourself and
yeah,
really
yeah.
um, those layers of yourself.
Even those, because I get this a lot, people telling me, oh, but I make my decision based on logic. I'm a very
Yeah.
intellectual person.
Yeah.
But the fact is, the basis of reasoning is your emotions. And
Yeah.
there is this neuroscientist, Antonio Damasio. He made a study with people whose emotional centers of the brain were damaged.
Oh, right. Okay.
And what happened as a result, they could not make decisions even in small things. Should I have chicken or fish for dinner?
Oh, right. Okay.
So
Yeah.
the basis of reasoning is also based on emotions. Those, it
Right.
is for those who think that, I'm a logical person and
Yeah.
I won't rely on emotions.
Well, when I studied with Tony Robbins, he actually said that, you can, like, even business is emotional, right? It's
Yes,
it's your relationship. So
yes,
don't think, like we think that business is all like intelligence and pragmatic, right? But like I think about my work, everything that I've done, no advertising, like no marketing, no nothing. Mine was just word of mouth, when I was working here. And I think about it, and it was just the fact that everybody knew me, and or that energy spread, right? But it was all based on emotion. And even some people that I wanted didn't want styling them, they've had it done, they were like, oh wow, I'm so glad that I had it done. And the pictures that they had done for their corporate styling, Dr. Navana, that they've still used it like 10 years by, like they're still using it. And I even said to one of the ladies, I was like, you're still using this? And she goes, yeah, because I really like it. And I was like, well, we need to get you some more done, but they still love it. And I guess that's what sticks, isn't it? It's the fact that business is emotional. Everything that we do is from the heart. Like, when I think about sales and how people sell products and services, it's sold with the heart, and it has to be heartfelt. Not even with the heart, but it's got to be heartfelt, right? You got to understand that person, and what they're feeling and how they're feeling. And I hope that everybody feels a bit better in 2021. And that's the aim of the podcast this week. Hopefully, that we start off, we're building and developing our emotions and understanding who we are. If there was a piece of advice that you would have given your younger self, like, you think about it, what would you have told that younger self of yours?
the life of a Zen master is of one continuous mistake.
Oh, right.
So don't be taken aback or feel frustrated or disappointed if you feel you have made a mistake.
Right.
Because when you hit rock bottom, the only way is up.
Yeah.
With your mistakes, you get the learnings. And with learnings, you make wiser decisions. And that's
Yeah.
what leads to not just success, but what is more important than that is fulfillment in life.
Yes. Yes. The kind of internal happiness.
Always,
Let's.
always measure your emotions, because the quality of your emotions will tell you the quality of your life.
Yes, I'm a great believer in that completely. I just think that you just wrapped it up so nicely, like, as to say that, um, you know, uh, success is not defined on one failure or one disappointment. There's going to be many, and many will come, and they will each give you that teaching, or that,
Yeah.
that lesson that you need to learn. And now I think about what I went through in the last few years. I think I've never said I never regret anything, but I definitely think that I should have done something quicker and made a quicker decision. But then again, then I think, okay, I had to learn for that amount of time, and that was my purpose. That was the time allowed for this. And everybody has their own journey. That's why everybody's different. If we were all the same and all happy and all excited and successful, how boring would this life be? This is what I think. So I think everybody has their own
Yeah. We
destination.
have to
Everybody's,
stop judging ourselves.
yeah, and comparing ourselves. This is what I think.
Yeah.
This is what a lot of people, have done since the era of social media. They've started to compare
Yes.
themselves with
Yes.
others and how life should be in this Instagram world that we live in. But that's not life, is it? That's not the way that life is. Life could be
Because then
pretty
it
on the
comes
outside,
down
but you're
to,
feeling distraught and frustrated and devastated from the inside.
yeah.
That's not how it is. And eventually that shows up I think eventually that shows up definitely, and how one feels.
Again, it comes down to, how you define success. Because
Yes,
for most people, the definition of success is completely off track. They
yes,
think hitting a expectation is being successful. But
yeah,
honestly, you can have $1 million in your bank, but if your emotional state is that you are exhausted mentally, you are fearful all the time, if you are
mm,
frustrated and you feel lonely and you feel depressed, then are you really successful? That's the
yeah.
question we need to ask ourselves.
Yeah, yeah. I've worked with so many very powerful, successful entrepreneurs, and it is the fulfillment of achieving money and awards. It's meaningless. Once you've
That
done it,
gives
you've
them
done it.
pleasure,
That
short
Yeah,
term pleasure.
the real quality of life is sharing experiences, having those moments that you've, or the times of growth, those kind of other achievements rather than the accolades, but the experiences that you create on the way and help others with that. So
A
even like
moment comes, Mariam, in everyone's life when you have to come face to face with that question, what have you done with your life?
yeah,
At that
yes,
time, you cannot say, oh, I have just worked and I have just filled up my bank balance.
yes, yeah, absolutely,
What about your emotional bank balance, spiritual bank balance?
yeah.
And there is an ancient saying goes that we have all the different rooms in our life, which is the physical room, the emotional room, the mental room, and the spiritual room. And one needs to walk through all of these room on a daily basis and open the windows and let the light come in.
Oh, how
So if there
beautiful.
is one particular room you feel, oh, it's a bit dusty, it's time to walk in that room and open the window.
Oh, give it a bit of a clean out. Yeah, 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 absolutely. Oh, that's so well said. I think definitely. I think all of these um, um, techniques, understanding ourselves is the most important. So, where would you like to see yourself in the next 5 years? You've gone through so much, and now you have the release of your book, which, I've read the first chapter and I'm excited to read the rest. But what is it that you would like to do in these next, and where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
See, Mariam, I am the water element. So water
Okay.
stays in the flow.
All right. Okay.
So
Okay.
I definitely have a vision, but at that same time, I wish to be in a state of surrender and flow.
Right, right. Okay. So and that's probably the best way, the fact that life is so unpredictable in this last year, if anything it's taught us is that we've got to be adaptable, in
Life is
life.
always going to be
Yes,
unpredictable.
absolutely.
People want to know,
I
they
think
go to
people who
fortune
can't
tellers,
deal with,
astrologers,
yeah,
you know.
I think this year, Dr. Navan, like how people were so fixed on their job, their relationship, their income, their holiday that they had, the life kind of planned out. All of a sudden, that's it. No job, no partner, no money, no vacations, redundant. People have, they've gone for extreme. Companies have closed, and they're in a situation where they've never been before. And I think for me, and yourself, I think we've become quite good with change. We can maneuver and adapt quite well because we've gone through so many different difficulties in our life. So we've kind of dealt with them. But people who haven't, those people who like their certainty, like they want to be in the same house, they want to live the same life, they want to do the same things, they want to go on the same holidays. I know some people that don't go anywhere else except for the same vacation in Spain, and that's it. They don't want to go anywhere else. They like it, and that's it. But they're not that sense of adventure. Like, what I think that the world is so amazing. I want to go to every part of the globe. But how would you make people kind of help them kind of deal with this change? Help them with changes in life. What advice would you give to them? Not hang on to that kind of that thinking.
People
how
have
can you
to
help them?
understand one thing. This is not the first time crisis has hit.
Yeah,
We have also gone through 2008 financial crisis. We
that's
have
right.
seen the Twin Tower collapse. We
Yeah,
have seen Gulf War. And even if we go further back, we have seen the humanity has seen a lot, plague, world war.
yeah,
But at the same time, humanity is much, much stronger than we think.
yeah.
Why? Because of the power of faith.
Yes, yes.
Faith makes the ground, softer for you when
Right.
things are hard outside.
Yes, yes, yes.
It is that, it is that stable, solid, constant belief that no matter what life throws at me, I am strong enough to handle it. And know one thing, that life will never throw at you anything that you cannot handle. These are
Yeah.
words of Mother Teresa.
Yes, yes, yes. Absolutely. I completely agree that one has to have your faith has to be stronger than your fear.
Have your faith. If you
Yes,
cannot have faith in your own self, find something larger than yourself,
yes,
higher
yes.
self, consciousness, whatever way you name it, it does not matter.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
But to
For
have
me,
that deep spiritual understanding, it's not just having the theoretical knowledge that's not going to change anything, but you have to embody it.
yes, yeah, yeah, absolutely. So it's exactly. Some people that I know that are very spiritual and very religious, I mean, even they break down. But I do feel that having faith or having, like you said, um I feel like sometimes I'm giving Allah all my problems. I'm just like, oh, you take over them because I've had enough. It's your turn. You take care of me now. Because there's so much that you can do. You can't control the world. You can't control people. You can't control circumstances. The only person that you can control is yourself, right? So
Yes,
I
absolutely.
I allow that. But for me, praying does help. What's the best advice? What's one piece of advice that you think that if you do this on a daily basis, that will help your 2021 to be successful in your emotional
What
mastery?
comes to me right now, if
Yeah,
I think about it, because this is something that is just flowing through me right now,
yeah.
is that if your heart, your feelings, your emotions are telling you to do something, don't wait for that next perfect moment, next perfect day to start that. Do it now. This is the perfect moment.
Oh, right. Okay. So kind of what be like intuition or gut feeling?
Yes, it is your emotions, your feelings,
Right.
your heart tells you.
Right. Okay.
Ask yourself, what is it?
Yeah.
That you have been postponing, you have been delaying, you have been thinking, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it later when it is the right time. The right time is now. Do it
Yeah.
now.
Oh,
Act
that's
on it.
excellent. Excellent. Thank you so much. I'm gonna add one thing. I remember this is what I did in the beginning of the day. I put a apple, my little
Oh,
apple, my carving,
self-discipline.
especially for you, because I thought, let me remind me that we have to talk about the apple a day. And we totally forgot to talk about that. Give me a bit of a
Apple
hint.
clearly signifies self-discipline, which is why they say when you are, trying to lose weight, you should have apples
I didn't know
because
that.
that's the time you need self-discipline the most.
I've just heard apple a day keeps the doctor away, but that's about it. I haven't heard about, anything to do with emotions and energy. I'm just like, and there was no real reason. And I think that I love apples, but I was like, why do I want to eat an apple? So really for
Well, if
discipline.
you are having a disciplined life and not having all those extra junk that you don't really require, you will keep the doctor away, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So an apple a day keeps the doctor away, but also helps with discipline. How
Yes.
interesting. So it will help create discipline in your life. So we need one apple a
Because
day.
if you notice an apple, it's red in color.
Well, you can get green apples.
True. Yeah, that is true. And
Okay,
yellow apples too.
okay,
But for example, if we look at red apples,
right.
red is also a color that makes you eat less.
Oh, really? Okay. All right. You see, when I think about colors and I think about, um, uh,
Green is a color that helps you to eat healthy.
yeah,
Orange is a color that helps you to eat more.
yes, yes. It's kind of an energy. When we think about
Yeah.
orange, again, it's about stimulation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, some of the elements, like if some things that you're saying that's related to kind of color psychology is so similar when it comes to emotions. And I think that's why it's so matched, because when I'm styling someone, I feel like the styling, colors, emotions, the reason why my styling is probably different to everybody else's, and I'm not a fashion stylist, more about image consulting and kind of really, kind of creating a signature style, is
Yeah.
because it's all emotional. I'm so emotional. They get emotional. We're in tears sometimes telling stories. We don't like this. Why do you like this? Where do you want to be? Where do you
Yeah.
want to see
Yeah.
yourself? And I think that's what it is. So, it does affect, the way that colors have a vibration, food has a
Yeah.
vibration. We are
Yeah.
one, business card. We don't need business cards. We are a vibration ourselves. So, how interesting is that? Thank you so much for starting our show for 2021. If we can master our emotions, we can master our life, and we can make it successful in all directions of business and our personal life. Make it a healthier, happier 2021. Thank you so much for joining us. I wish you a very
Thank you for
successful.
having me.
Oh, it was a pleasure. Absolutely delayed, but it was worth the wait. And you know what? I wish you a absolutely splendid and successful 2021 ahead. And let's hope that we can meet in Dubai this
Yes,
coming year.
absolutely, absolutely. And I also wish you a lot of opportunities, miracles, joy, laughter, and love for this new year.
Oh, thank you so much, my darling. You take care of yourself, and we shall speak soon.
Absolutely.